Joining me now, Congressman Babin from Texas, who sits on the House Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure. Congressman, good of you to join us today right here in good old New York.
Absolutely. Great to be with you, Kelly.
It's a long way from Texas and D.C., but we're glad that you're here.
I'm glad to be here, too.
Let's talk about this, because this is really an important dynamic that we're seeing over the weekend, where the President and the Prime Minister of Japan are actually having some Gulf diplomacy. And they're talking about something that's very crucial, and that's the U.S. infrastructure and how Japan might best invest its dollars into that. The high-speed rail project, what would that do for America's economy?
Oh, I think it'd be a wonderful thing. You know, I think it's very, very healthy for the Prime Minister and President Trump to be confabbing like this, especially a golf game, and I really welcome that. I think that the very fact that they're speaking and there was obvious cooperation. I think Prime Minister Abe is really open to some renegotiating of maybe a bilateral agreement with Japan, which the President's been speaking about. And there is nothing more important to the future of jobs and the economy of the United States than infrastructure. So I really am excited about it.
So I'm glad you said that, because that is one of the most critical things in America right now. We can talk about so many other things that are going on, obviously, but when you look at the infrastructure and the fact that so many of our roads and highways are in some very precarious positions and conditions. And then you have our bridges. Some of those bridges need to be repaired. So in President Trump's trillion-dollar proposal for the infrastructure, can we fit in high-speed rail? Is this the time for it, particularly between Baltimore and D.C. and New York and Philadelphia, the Northeast Corridor?
Well, you know, I'm not going to sit here with you today, Kelly, and say this is the most important aspect of infrastructure projects that we're going to have. There's a lot of them on there. As you said, some of the deteriorating bridges, roads, rails, pipelines, etc. I think we need to be very, very cautious about having Washington impose some of these infrastructure projects upon the local populations and regions. This has to be driven by those people, by real needs, by a consensus of what the problems are.
So you're saying state by state, those states need to identify what the problems are and address it.
Absolutely, I think that is a very, very important thing. And of course, as I said in a hearing the other day, which is a very bipartisan. I'm very happy to be serving on the transportation.
That's good. We can always have more of that.
We need more of that, as you can see in the some of the rancor that's going on politically across the nation. But infrastructure and transportation needs have historically been a very bipartisan issue, and I'm very proud to be serving under Chairman Bill Schuster from Pennsylvania, and also with Peter DeFazio, the ranking member of the T&I committee.
Wonderful.
We've gotten 3 great bills through in the past session, an FAA bill, a highway bill for a change, and then also a water resources bill. And those were all passed, most of them with 300 votes in the House.
Those are things we need to be talking about, because that will impact jobs. But Congressman, before I let you go, I've got to ask you, in your heart, what do you want to see done for the American people to have us rebound totally in terms of providing more jobs, more expansion of our growth and development with infrastructure? And how can you best serve to help that?
You know, this is a multifaceted question. I could talk about it for a long time, but I want to just say we've got to have regulatory reform. We're going to have tax reform. We've got to have some new trade agreements, and the infrastructure. You know, the 900-pound gorilla in the room is paying for them.
That's right.
There's some great possibilities there. You know, repatriation of funds parked overseas. We've got the
you're right. You unpacked a lot.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things we could talk about that.
Congressman Babin, thanks for joining us. I wish I could keep you longer, but the bottom line is America is always going to be great and become greater.
I'm very optimistic, Kelly.
All right,
much.
so am I. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right,
we'll send it over to Jim.